Morning, folks. Going to be using several Italian products today in this video. Soap today is going to be Proraso. This is a red tub, and I guess it's, I don't know, my nose is not the best. It's sandalwood. Maybe my nose is picking up I guess you might say a different version. My nose has always picked up something a little bit different than what I was expecting with this one here, but as it goes for soap performance, can't complain not a bit about it. I enjoy using Proraso products. Also, already put the Proraso Preshave on this morning. If you're wondering what it looks like, there you go. That's what it's. Really nice, creamy, easy to use. A little bit goes a long ways also. So it will last a good moment. And for the aftershave, I got the aftershave lotion here to go right along with it. And you might have noticed over maybe some of the listings and whatnot on the web, they've changed the shape of the container, but it's still all the same good stuff. I got it whipped up here in a fine accoutrements lathering bowl, and it's a little on the wet side, not exactly drippy, but pretty close. And this is the Omega S brush. It looks a lot like the professional one that's bore knot, but this one here is a synthetic knot. It's looking pretty good. Shaver of the day. To make sure I get the right one, I got both of them sitting here. I'm going to be using this one here. This is the Focus Dynamic. This is the one with the pivoting head. And it has a sharp titanium half of the blade in there. Got it snapped in half. And I'm going to be using this one here, and it's the mild one. And if you're looking for one that's not quite as mild, that might be considered on the medium side of things, you can kind of tell, yeah, they look an awful lot alike. The biggest difference is the medium aggressive one says Evo on there. I've got a link down for this one here, so if you're interested in this one, in other words, there's fewer listings for the first one as opposed to Evo, the second one. So in other words, if you find yourself hunting for the milder one, you will be hunting for it because a lot of people are carrying the Evo as opposed to, I guess you might say, the first version. But that's what I'm going to be using today, is the first version today. Like I say, I already put the hot towel to the face this morning, pre-shave Proraso, and go ahead and get started. Wet the face and get the shave going here. Yeah, a lot of Italian products today. If you're unfamiliar with the Focus Dynamic, it's the razor itself is 100% made in Italy. So in other words, a lot of Italian products today. I decided just to go with that theme. And it is a very unique shaver. If this is the first time you've seen a video with one of these, I'll try to explain a little bit about it. It takes half of a DE blade, and also there is a stand that comes along with it. I didn't bring it in the bathroom with me this morning, but the stand is sold separate from the razor itself, and that stand could be used to help with loading the blade if that helps a person. There's videos out there on how to get the blade loaded using the stand. I've used the stand just to see how it works. I bought the stand because I don't have very many stands for my razors, and decided, you know, this time I'd get one. Not only that, since it has more than one use besides just being a stand, it is an aid for loading the blade. And for me being the kind of character that I am, I have a tendency to go a different direction. I mean, I understand for some folks, they really would like and appreciate that stand help load the blade, but for me, I just use a soft towel as it goes for sliding the head off and putting it back on, or the cap, if you will, I'm sorry, the cap. And for me, that's just how I work with it. It's kind of, I guess you might say, something for me that I've got accustomed to doing, is dealing with things like that. It's just, I guess you might say, do it the old way, if you will. Just a manual type setup without having to go with all this fancy stuff, I guess you might say. This has got a pivoting head, and how I treat this razor is I try to treat it similar to a single edge that does not have a pivoting head. I use the pivoting head to be, I guess you might say, a bit more forgiving for if I get my angle off, the pressure off, whatnot. So if you hear a click, part way through your stroke, that means you definitely have got your angle, off considerably more than what this head is able to handle. The clicks really should happen at the end of your stroke as opposed to halfway through. So that is something to keep in mind. This is a very mild shaver. Definitely one for maybe somebody that's just starting out. Doesn't have a whole lot of blade feel. So in other words, you're not scaring them off. And maybe even for somebody that is looking for like the ladies looking for a mild shaver on their legs, it does make it a little bit easier to use. But don't know about a head shaver. I don't know how that would work. I have not shaved my head with a blade. In other words, I got an electric trimmer that I use to cut my own hair. But like I said, if you use it similar to a single edge that's fixed, you won't have too much trouble. There is one thing I do like about the handle is that there's a notch right there. It does make it really easy to hang on to, even if your hands are a little wet and soapy. But it is a mild shaver. If you're a shaver that is not a daily shaver, and in other words, every 2 or 3 days, in other words, you got some long whiskers, you might be rinsing more frequently than what you're used to. In other words, I could understand if it would be clogging up on you. But for me, being a daily shaver, it's not a problem at all. And it is, if you do a buffing type motion, it does work pretty well. It's not that you can't cut yourself with this, because you can. It's just that it would be a little bit more difficult to cut it with this one here. Not only that, this would be an excellent shaver to be using like a very sharp blade, like most people would consider a feather blade to be very sharp. Get several shaves out of that blade using a shaver like this. But it is a very mild shaver. In other words, my first pass, there's still, it is noticeable, in other words, how much the number of whiskers that are still available to be mowed down. But it is a mild shaver, so you want to keep that in mind. But like I say, for somebody starting out, a young one, or even somebody that is just scared to death of the idea of using a blade like this would be an excellent one to start with, just to get their feet wet, or even a daily driver, depending on your skin. If you got really sensitive skin, you get problems with stuff breaking out down here, this may just be the kind of shaver you're looking for. I do like this loft on the brush. It makes for a great painter. As it goes between the bore knot and the synthetic knot, I can use either one of them. The biggest difference for me is changing from the natural bristle, of course, holding water, retaining a lot of that sort of thing, where this one here is in between the bristles. So if you're not accustomed to it, you definitely want to squeeze out most of the water before you start, and then slowly add water to the bowl when you start lathering, so you can get used to the difference in between them. But I do like using both of them. That loft is awesome for me. See, for me, this is so easy to use. I enjoy using them. It's also has a double-edged sword type effect. You can develop some bad techniques. Because of pivoting head, allowing for some poor technique, it'll adjust for it. But then you get in the habit of doing it like that, so you go back to a fixed blade, then you got those bad habits set up. It really is easy to use. Now my son, the first time he used it, I don't shave above my nose, but of course he does. And you know that ridge that you got along your lip? He did cut himself. But I don't shave there, so I don't have that kind of issue. I did think it was kind of funny the first time he used it. Like I said, you can cut yourself, but he doesn't particularly care for it because he doesn't like the lack of the blade feel. He wants to be able to feel the blade. Uh, so he is a little bit different. Of course, you know, he is my son, so some folks like the blade feel, some don't. I think it helps keep him, I guess you might say, in tune with what's going on. Respect the blade, the angle, the pressure. Keeps him in line, I guess you might say. I can still smell the scent, so the scent strength is lasting throughout the shave. I know there are fans of Proraso, and then there's some that's not. I am one of them because typically, I guess you might say, the everyday price for Proraso online is about $10, but I can usually from time to time find it at Marshall's every so often, or TJ Maxx, or whatever the case might be, for about $4.99, $5. And sometimes you can find it on the web, you know, for sale for the same price. And to me, that makes it an excellent buy. If there's ever been a big complaint about Proraso, it's the residual that's left over after the shave on your razor. There's usually a little powdery substance left on there, which for me it's really easy to get off. It's not that big of a deal for me, but for some people it's very off-putting. But for me, it's yeah. The routine I have with cleaning my razors and whatnot, it's really easy to wipe off. Which to me, that's more of a plus. That the cleanup is minimal. Not a big deal. The other con with this one here is, once again, the bad habits is you can get away with putting a lot of pressure on this razor. A lot of pressure. You can get by with it and not cut yourself. I mean, I typically would not use that much pressure with any single edge I've got, much less a double edge shaver. I would not be using that much pressure. Just not a good idea. You're definitely going to end up with a cut. But with this one here, you can get by with it. So in other words, it might be a little bit more reminiscent of somebody using transitioning from a cartridge to this shaver. They might have a little bit easier time with it. And to think that, you know, you can get several shaves out of one of your blades as opposed to what you normally would with a DE. This just might be in somebody's wheelhouse that they're wanting to give a try. Like I say, the link I've got down below is for this one here, but Evo is not that tough to find, at least not from the few searches I went through real quick like. And they do come in different versions. This is, I should mention this at the beginning, this is aluminum. So in other words, it's not stainless steel. I guess you might say the more expensive one, the one that probably weighs a bit more than this one here. It's very lightweight. I do like the design of the handle with that notch out. It's really easy to hang on to. At least for me it is. Boy, that was such an easygoing shave. Alum block. This one here is Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements. The new one has a different label, different kind of setup. But this, it's all the same. It's just different packaging. I do like the rubber band. It helps me hang on to it. And as you can probably imagine, no stinging this morning from the alum block. Now for some, I would understand if you don't use the alum block with the witch hazel. For me, and I have not tried it in recent history, but I would, in the past when I very first started using the alum block, I tried using the alum block without the witch hazel, and I felt like the alum block kind of dried my face out a bit more than what I would like. It didn't feel comfortable to me. So that's the reason why I follow up with the with the witch hazel. It just works better for me. You know, you develop your own routine, what works best for you. This is unscented witch hazel that is mentholated from Stirling. Matter of fact, I haven't quite decided when it comes to Stirling has different flavors with their witch hazel, and another one that's kind of some might consider off the beaten path. Black ice. In other words, it's I guess you might say a licorice type scent, and then there's obsidian, which is considered to be the one that's on steroids of black ice. I like obsidian. I'm probably going to do a shave here pretty soon with it. Some people will not find that that scent very attractive. Black ice maybe, but the obsidian, oh boy, it is just right out front. In your face type scent. I mean, it is out there. I love it. It's great for my nose. All right, here for the aftershave. Like I say, don't be surprised if you see this in a different shape. I've got a container that one from Proraso that has that different shape, and I do like it. For me, that shape is easy to hang on to. So in other words, your hands are maybe still slick from the shave. That container is easy to hang on to. This one here has got a plastic restrictor. That's what it looks like. So in other words, it's relatively small, so you will have to work at it just a little bit just to get the aftershave out. In my opinion, these are great products. You can have I guess you might say, quote unquote, the entire line. Oh, I should mention also, this particular one here, you might be able to see there in the cap, it's got a little post that comes down there, goes right through the top of the restrictor, helps keep all the goodness inside the container. To me, that's awfully important because that helps keeps things fresh, as well as if you do take it on a travel. If you're traveling, you do throw it in your kit. Chances of it leaking out are pretty slim because it is going down through there, help keeping it all sealed up for you. Man, just such a smooth, comfortable shave. Like I said, there's the, yeah, there you go. You can kind of see a good example right there. The powdery substance I was talking about, it just wipes off real easy. It's not like anything that's hard to get off or anything like that. I use a cotton swab, like in other words, Q-tip, wipe things down real quick, done, easy peasy. I should show you here what I was talking about. There's the back side, so you can see how that head slides apart. I got a towel over here, and I just use the towel to slide it apart. It's really, I can say, relatively easy to do. There's the blade right there. It's like I say, it's snapped in half, and you can see the curved edge. I put that towards the cap. Makes it easier to slide together, but it's a easy setup. I enjoy it. I thought it was kind of a unique design. Hope everybody's doing well. Stay safe, stay healthy, and smooth shaves to you.